Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently back in full Titan fever as the second part of Attack on Titan is likely airing at the time of this video going live. I feel like it might go without saying, but just in case, I adore Attack on Titan, specifically the characters. I love these broken messes. I mean, folks. I love these folks. I also love a good crossover. Something about crossovers just gets me 6 different kinds of hyped, and taking established lore and characters and seeing if and how they could blend together with a completely different series, that's always been really neat to me. For a long time now, I'd think up little AUs, that's alternate universes if you're not crazy people, and then, you know, end up doing absolutely nothing with them. Entire made-up fictional universes where one franchise I loved is mixed with another franchise I loved, and I have mostly entirely forgotten all of them by now, but some of which did see the light of day in the form of videos here on the channel, specifically Danganronpa. There was a lot of Danganronpa once. Today, though, I wanted to make a whole new crossover and toss it out into the void for others to run with, and as I'm currently freaking out about the 3rd season of Attack on Titan, along with the upcoming 8th generation of Pokemon, I feel like I've had a perfect idea for a new crossover. So today, we're gonna do Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls Sorting Hat video! I'm just kidding. Let's give those crazy fools in the 104th some pocket monsters. Now, before we start listing off each character's partner Pokemon, we must first establish some ground rules for our AU. First up, this is not the Attack on Titan universe, but with Pokemon in it. That would just make the series somehow more depressing, seeing all these creatures we loved, you know, getting squished. This isn't the Pokemon universe either, though, since that's a whole other can of worms, and it'd really make things complicated once we had to decide which timeline we want to pick in the Pokemon universe.
Wait, there are multiple timelines in Pokemon.
Why, yes indeed, Augie, and I don't feel like dealing with that, so we're just gonna say it's a completely different world that's similar to Pokemon, but it's its own thing, a little pocket universe, if you will. And the second rule for this thing, no legendaries. That is cheating. As for the story, I'm thinking we'll use the 3 regions from the setting of the Pokemon Ranger games as our setting, which I admittedly haven't played those games, oops. Since there are 3 regions to explore, and we know there's 3 walls in the original story of Attack on Titan, it just felt fitting. In this AU, the region of Oblivia became overrun by seemingly evil Pokemon. Think Shadow Pokemon, but like not quite. With these evil mons secretly being led by Team Rocket! Obvious choice, I know, but like, come on. Everybody loves Team Rocket. The inhabitants of the 2 remaining regions, Fiore and Almia, decide to put out the call to take back Oblivia and begin training a group of student rangers, the 104th. From there, the story would take cues from Attack on Titan, but mixing it with the aesthetics and world of Pokemon. So there you go, fanfic writers. You take that idea and run with it. It's yours. I just set up the AUs. I don't write them. Enough world building, though. Let's take our familiar Scouting Legion and turn them into proper Pokemon Rangers, shall we? First up is Mikasa Ackerman, and her partner Pokemon is Scyther. Okay, so yeah, the first Pokemon is a little obvious. The Scouts fight with 2 swords, Scyther fights with 2 sword hands. It works.
It just works.
However, there is a reason why Mikasa is getting a Scyther over the others, and no, it's not just because she's first. According to Scyther's Pokedex entry for Gen 3,
Scyther is blindingly fast. Its blazing speed enhances the effectiveness of the twin scythes on its forearms. This Pokemon's scythes are so effective they can slice through thick logs in one wicked stroke.
Now, who does that sound like to you? Yeah, same here. Next up is Armin Arlert, and his partner Pokemon is Slowking. I'm not gonna lie, folks, I'm pretty proud with this one, because honestly, I think it fits pretty well. So like, picture this, right? It's early days, and Armin is gifted a Slowpoke from his grandfather. Now, Slowpoke isn't exactly a thrilling mon to own, but Armin appreciates it all the same. Then, when the Shadow Pokemon attack Oblivia, remember they're replacing actual Titans here, and Armin is inducted into the 104th, Slowpoke joins him, and over the course of the story, evolves into Slowking as Armin eventually becomes the tactician we know and love him for being now. Just imagine Armin and Slowking scheming over a map. I think it fits. I really dig it. Next up is Marco Bot, and his Pokemon partner is a Go-Goat. That's right, folks, even Marco is getting a spot on this list. The poor underappreciated dude with the poor underappreciated Pokemon. While this pick might seem odd, it actually makes a fair deal of sense when you glance at Go-Goat's Pokedex entry.
It can tell how its trainer is feeling by subtle shifts in the grip on its horns. This empathetic sense lets them run as if one being.
Marco was also a really empathetic character, often putting his friends' feelings before his own. Also, much like Go-Goat, Marco was thought to grow into a strong leader one day, but unfortunately he didn't stick around long enough to see that come true. Not sure what would become of his partner Mon following Marco's death. That's up to you, I suppose. Next up, Reiner Braun, and his Pokemon partner is Tyranitar. I was planning on pairing Reiner up with Aggron, as its species is known as the Iron Armor Pokemon, while Tyranitar's species is just known as the Armor Pokemon. However, it's once again time to turn to the good old Pokedex, because while Aggron is cool, the Pokedex entries don't really match up with Reiner as well as Tyranitar's does. For example,
this Pokemon is a mobile disaster, leaving mountains crumbled and houses destroyed in its wake.
Remember, this AU is taking cues from Attack on Titan, so Reiner is secretly working against the Rangers and is instead aligned with Team Rocket. So I imagine his Tyranitar would be able to Mega Evolve, throwing people off his trail using that Superman Clark Kent logic. Like, look at that, that's two totally different people. That's two totally different Mons. Next up, we have Sasha Browse, and her partner Pokemon is Decidueye. The only real Archer from Attack on Titan has to team up with the only real Archer from Pokemon. I mean, unless you're talking about this Archer, or this alternate Archer. Whatever, Decidueye and Sasha just make a good pair, okay? I like to imagine that when Sasha arrives at training, her partner is still a Dartrix, so the pair of them are both too distracted by their own vices to really pay attention to training. Dartrix is focused on their looks, while Sasha is busy being, Potato Girl. Then, once the pair finally start to shape up, Dartrix evolves into Decidueye, and Potato Girl evolves into Sasha, duo Archers. I feel like Sasha would get along really well with Samwise Gamgee. Potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Next up is Bertolt Hoover, and his partner Pokemon is a Steelix. The tallest ranger in all the land would of course require one of the tallest mons the Pokemon world can offer, right? With Steelix standing at a whopping 30 to 34 feet in length, this is about as close as you can get to the Colossal Titan without sacrificing power or using a legendary. Now, much like Reiner, Bertolt is also working against the team of Pokemon Rangers, which means Steelix can of course Mega Evolve. Now, I'm not a big fan of Bert, so I don't really have much else to say here other than Steelix does sort of look like a spine, so at least Bert can say that he has one now too, so that's a thing. Next, we have the main character himself, Eren Yeager, and his partner Pokemon is gonna be a Blaziken. So herein lies a bit of a dilemma, because now the Titan Shifter issue comes into play. Thanks for that, Eren. See, I originally wanted to give Eren a Primeape since I felt like they matched each other really well, but since Primeape doesn't have a Mega Evolution, and that's our stand-in for Titan Shifters in this AU, I had to go with a different Mon, which led to my pick here with Blaziken. Both are hotheads who can pack a mean punch, and a Pokedex entry for Blaziken reads,
Blaziken has incredibly strong legs. It can easily clear a 30-story building in one leap. This Pokemon's blazing punches leave its foes scorched and blackened.
Next up is Jean Kirstien, and his partner Pokemon is a Rapidash. I feel like this one goes without saying. Next up is Annie Leonhardt, and her partner Pokemon is a Mawile. Probably the most fitting Mon thus far, as Mawile is known as the Deceiver Pokemon, and Annie is pretty infamously the first turncoat in the series. A Pokedex entry for Mawile reads,
A cunning and terrifying Pokemon, its cuteness makes opponents let down their guard, and then it swallows them whole with its huge jaws.
Which definitely screams Annie in my book. She's a quiet girl who can open up a major can of whoop-ass even before turning into a Titan, and like her fellow sleeper agents, Annie's partner is capable of Mega Evolving as well. Even that Pokedex entry is super fitting.
It has an extremely vicious disposition. It grips prey in its two sets of jaws and tears them apart with raw power.
Jesus.
And here we have Historia Reese, and her partner Pokemon is Nidoqueen. You're freaking right, Historia's getting a Nidoqueen, like Ranger, like Pokemon partner. In terms of story behind this pair, I think it would make the most sense to have Historia's partner remain a Nidorina even after the 104th graduate and become full Pokemon Rangers, only evolving well into whatever this AU's version of the Uprising arc would look like, signaling Historia leaving behind the guise of Krista and fully becoming the Queen of Humanity, so her and her partner grow at an even pace. It just feels right. And here we have Connie Springer and his partner Pokemon, Lycanroc. Admittedly, Connie was a bit of a tough character to pin down, but I ultimately decided on pairing him up with a Lycanroc as his partner, specifically Midday Lycanroc, since Midnight form is a bit too dark and brooding and Dusk form is a bit too mysterious. Connie's name could come from the Celtic name Connor, meaning son of the wolf, and with Connie being well known for using his speed in combat, a Lycanroc seemed pretty fitting, with its Pokedex entry reading,
Its quick movements confuse its enemies. Well equipped with claws and fangs, it also uses the sharp rocks in its mane as weapons.
And last but certainly not least, we have Ymir and her partner Pokemon, Absol. This is a pick where the partnership itself is something I'm still not sure about, but I knew that these two had to be paired together. The Disaster Pokemon and Lady Ymir both share pretty difficult upbringings and have more than their fair share in common. A Pokedex entry for Absol reads,
Long ago, superstitions were spread about it, saying it brought disaster. This fed a hatred of it, and it was driven deep into the mountains.
Which, if you know Ymir's backstory with the cult and how she spent 60 years or so following the cult activities, this Pokedex entry does make me think of Ymir in a really sad way. Likewise, Absol being able to Mega Evolve puts it in line with the other partners of Titan Shifters, so I think this works out pretty well. And there you have it, folks, the 104th Cadet Corps and their respective Pokemon partners. I guess in this case it's the 104th Ranger Corps, but either way, I hope you enjoyed. And before anybody gets too upset about the Jean joke in there, believe it or not, he's actually in my top 5 characters in the show. Sometimes I just like being a troll to my faves, that's all. Also, a big thanks to Ku and Sun for being the voices of the decks in this video. Much appreciated, my dudes, you guys did awesome. If you guys have any other crossovers you think might be fun for me to whip up, let me know, and let me know your thoughts on this particular crossover. Any story ideas that you want to toss out there, or potential swaps for the 104th partners that you'd like to suggest, let's get a discussion going in the comments. I only ask that you keep it strictly to the anime, as many folks on this channel, as well as myself, are still anime only. Once again, thank you all for watching. Links to Ku and Sun are in the description. Go show them some love, and until our next meeting, stay rad and don't scary.
Hum-na-hum-num-na-hi-ya.
And it was driven deep into the mountains. Yo, you know, actually, I should have been like, long ago. But no, next time.